This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of Phatts TV, sanctioned by PA Phatts and the non-genetically proven Sun. Any and all words have been authorized during the show. There is nothing off limits. Nobody is restricted from watching or participating in the show. It is a free-for-all. Commencing at the siren, any and all discussions will be legal for an extended period of time. Sports, politics, and any and all controversial topics will be talked about. You have been warned. May God be with us all.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Phatts TV on this Tuesday night, November the 2nd, or Wednesday night. We usually do Tuesday night. Tonight's Wednesday night, November 2nd. Don't shake your head. You're the one that caused this delay.
It's not my problem.
Our election prediction show, but before we get into our predictions, Grandpa Joe decided he wanted to give a speech tonight, so we are going to simulcast that speech live here on Phatts TV. We're just waiting for Gramps to take the stage. It's interesting. Oh, he's just about ready. Here he comes. Here he comes.
How many people were there? Like 3?
Something like that.
Thank you. Please, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Just a few days ago, a little before 2:30 a.m. in the morning, a man smashed the back windows and broke into the home of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the third highest ranking official in America. He carried in his backpack zip ties.
Whoever this shot needs to do a better job or get fired.
And a hammer.
Okay.
As he told the police, he'd come looking
It's
for
not
Nancy
You're
Pelosi
cutting off his.
to take her hostage,
That's our screen.
to interrogate her,
Oh.
to threaten to break her kneecaps. But she wasn't there. Her husband, my friend Paul Pelosi, was home alone. The assailant
There, that's better.
tried to take Paul hostage. He woke him up. He wanted to tie him up. The assailant ended up using a hammer to smash Paul's skull. Thankfully, by the grace of God, Paul survived. All this happened after the assault, and it just, it's hard to even say. It's hard to even say. After the assailant entered the home asking, "Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy?" Those are the very same words used by the mob when they stormed the United States Capitol on January the 6th.
Of course.
When they broke windows, kicked in the doors, brutally attacked law enforcement, roamed the corridors, hunting for officials, and erected gallows to hang the former Vice President Mike Pence. It was an enraged mob that had been whipped up into a frenzy by a president repeating over and over again the big lie that the election of 2020 had been stolen. It's a lie that fueled a dangerous rise in political violence and voter intimidation over the past 2 years. Even before January the 6th, we saw election officials and election workers in a number of states subject to menacing calls, physical threats, even threats to their very lives. In Georgia, for example, Republican Secretary of State and his family were subjected to death threats because he refused to break the law and give in to the defeated president's demand, just find him 11,780 votes.
We going to talk about the threats to the Supreme Court here, Gramps?
Election workers like Shay Moss and her mother Ruby Freeman were harassed and threatened just because they had the courage to do their job and stand up for the truth, to stand up for our democracy. This institution, this intimidation, this violence against Democrats, Republicans, and nonpartisan officials just doing their jobs are the consequence of lies told for power and profit, lies of conspiracy and malice, lies repeated over and over to generate a cycle of anger, hate, vitriol, and even violence. In this moment, we have to confront those lies with the truth. The very future of our nation depends on it. My fellow Americans, we're facing a defining moment, an inflection point. We must, with one overwhelming, unified voice, speak as a country and say there's no place for voter intimidation or political violence in America, whether it's directed at Democrats or Republicans.
I remember
no place, period. No place ever.
Republican congressmen getting shot at while they were
Speak
practicing
today
baseball.
near Capitol Hill, near the U.S. Capitol, the citadel of our democracy. I know there's a lot at stake in these midterm elections, from our economy, to the safety of our streets, to our personal freedoms, the future of health care, Social Security, Medicare. It's all important. But we'll have our differences. We'll have our difference of opinion. And that's what it's supposed to be. But
Can he look
something else,
2 seconds?
democracy itself.
No.
I'm not the only one who sees it. Recent polls have shown that overwhelming majority of Americans believe our democracy is at risk, that our democracy is under threat. They too see that democracy is on the ballot this year.
But you didn't look at this speech before you did it.
So today, I appeal to all Americans, regardless of party, to meet this moment of national and generational importance. We must vote knowing what's at stake and not just the policy of the moment, but institutions that have held us together as we sought a more perfect union are also at stake. We must vote knowing who we have been, what we're at risk of becoming. Look, my fellow Americans, the whole expression, freedom is not free. It requires constant vigilance. From the very beginning, nothing has been guaranteed about democracy in America. Every generation has had to defend it, protect it, preserve it, choose it. For that's what democracy is. It's a choice, a decision of the people, by the people, and for the people. The issue couldn't be clearer in my view. We, the people, must decide whether we will have fair and free elections, and every vote counts. We, the people, must decide whether we're going to sustain a republic where reality is accepted, the law is obeyed, and your vote is truly sacred. We, the people, must decide whether the rule of law will prevail, or whether we'll allow the dark forces that thirst for power put ahead of the principles that we've long guided us. You know, American democracy is under attack because the defeated former president of the United States refuses to accept the results of the 2020 election. He refuses to accept the will of the people. He refuses to accept the fact that he lost. He has abused his power and put the loyalty to himself before loyalty to the Constitution. And he's made a big lie, an article of faith in the MAGA Republican Party, the minority of that party. The great irony about the 2020 election is that it's the most attacked election in our history, and yet, there's no election in our history that we can be more certain of its results. Every legal challenge that could have been brought was brought. Every recount that could have been undertaken was undertaken. Every recount confirmed the results. Wherever fact or evidence had been demanded, the big lie has been proven to be just that, a big lie, every single time. Yet now, extreme MAGA Republicans aim to question not only the legitimacy of past elections, but elections being held now and into the future. The extreme MAGA element of the Republican Party, which is a minority of that party, as I said earlier.
Here we go.
But it's this driving force. It's trying to succeed where they failed in 2020. Suppress the right of voters and subvert the electoral system itself. That means denying your right to vote and deciding whether your vote even counts. Instead of waiting until an election is over, they're starting well before it. They're starting now. They've emboldened violence and intimidation of voters and election officials.
Oh, really?
It's estimated that there are more than 300 election deniers on the ballot all across America this year. We can't ignore the impact this is having on our country.
And a lot of them are going to win.
It's damaging, it's corrosive, and it's destructive. And I want to be very clear. This is not about me. It's about all of us. It's about what makes America, America. It's about the durability of our democracy. For democracies are more than a form of government. They're a way of being, a way of seeing the world, a way that defines who we are, what we believe, why we do what we do. Democracy is simply that fundamental. We must, in this moment, dig deep within ourselves and recognize that we can't take democracy for granted any longer. With democracy on the ballot, we have to remember these first principles. Democracy means the rule of the people, not the rule of monarchs or the moneyed, but the rule of the people. Autocracy is the opposite of democracy. It means the rule of one person, one interest, one ideology, one party. State the obvious, the lives of billions of people from antiquity till now have been shaped by the battle between these competing forces, between the aspirations of the many and the greed and power of the few, between the people's right for self-determination and the self-seeking autocrat, between the dreams of a democracy and the appetites of an autocracy. What we're doing now is going to determine whether democracy will long endure. It, in my view, is the biggest of questions. Whether the American system that prizes the individual, bends towards justice, and depends on the rule of law, whether that system will prevail. This is the struggle we're now in. A struggle for democracy, a struggle for decency and dignity, a struggle for prosperity and progress, a struggle for the very soul of America itself. Make no mistake, democracy is on the ballot for all of us. We must remember that democracy is a covenant. We need to start looking out for each other again, seeing ourselves as we the people, not as entrenched enemies. This is a choice we can make. Disunion and chaos are not inevitable. There's been anger before in America. There's been division before in America. But we've never given up on the American experiment. And we can't do that now. The remarkable thing about American democracy is this: just enough of us, on just enough occasions, have chosen not to dismantle democracy, but to preserve democracy. We must choose that path again. Because democracy is on the ballot, we have to remember that even in our darkest moments, there are fundamental values and beliefs that unite us as Americans. And they must unite us now. What are they? Well, I think first, we believe the vote in America is sacred, to be honored, not denied, respected, not dismissed, counted, not ignored. A vote is not a partisan tool to be counted when it helps your candidates and tossed aside when it doesn't. Second, we must, with an overwhelming voice, stand against political violence and voter intimidation, period. Stand up and speak against it. You don't settle our differences in America with a riot, a mob, or a bullet, or a hammer. We settle them peaceably at the ballot box.
Battle box.
We have to be honest with ourselves, though.
Like the TV show.
We have to face this problem. We have to be honest with ourselves, though. We have to face this problem. We can't turn away from it. We can't pretend it's just going to solve itself. There's an alarming rise in the number of our people in this country condoning political violence or simply remaining silent, because silence is complicity. The disturbing rise of voter intimidation, the pernicious tendency to excuse political violence, or at least trying to explain it away. We can't allow this sentiment to grow. We must confront it head on now. It has to stop now. I believe the voices excusing or calling for violence and intimidation are a distinct minority in America, but they're loud and they are determined. We have to be more determined. All of us who reject political violence and voter intimidation, and I believe that's the overwhelming majority of the American people, all of us must unite to make it absolutely clear that violence and intimidation have no place in America. And third, we believe in democracy. That's who we are as Americans. I know it isn't easy. Democracy is imperfect. It always has been. But we are all called to defend it now. History and common sense tell us that liberty, opportunity, and justice thrive in a democracy, not in an autocracy. At our best, America is not a zero-sum society where for you to succeed, someone else has to fail. I promise America is big enough. It's big enough for everyone to succeed. Every generation opening the door of opportunity just a little bit wider. Every generation, including those who have been excluded before. We believe we should leave no one behind, because each one of us is a child of God. And every person is sacred. If that's true, then every person's rights must be sacred as well. Individual dignity, individual worth, individual determination, that's America. That's democracy. And that's what we have to defend. Look, even as I speak here tonight, 27 million people have already cast their ballot in the midterm elections. Millions more will cast their ballots in the final.
All right, I've had enough of this clown. Oh, God. Yes, Paul Pelosi was attacked. Did you notice he didn't say by an illegal immigrant?
You sound a little quiet.
Did you notice he didn't say by an illegal immigrant?
He did not say that.
Last I checked, I could be wrong. But last I checked, there's not many illegal immigrants out there that are MAGA folk.
Don't think there's any.
But maybe I'm wrong. You know, maybe that group that just came up from Venezuela, they're Make America Great Again kind of people. Kind of got my doubts. What a fucking clown show he is. I swear to God. All right. On to our political predictions. Of course, as you know, or maybe you don't know, there is an election in 6 days. 6. Get out and vote. It is your...
I don't think it's an early number this year.
I don't think it matters.
I like always having like a 6 or a 5 at 2 in the afternoon. No, I'm probably going to have to wait in line this year because I got to go after work. So, everyone else has to go after work.
Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a huge line in whatever town that is you live in.
Yeah, there's 1,000 people that live here, so that's saying probably about 200 that at least work. Yeah, there's a lot of Mastriano signs. Most of those people work.
Of course. So let's look at the Senate.
Okay.
And of course, I have my little handy dandy map here.
Little handy dandy.
Little handy dandy map.
Oh, Hawaii's going Republican.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Let us see here. We'll hide us a little bit in the corners. Okay. So let's mark what we do know. Or at least what is a safe assumption. Those seats that are safe. Shall we? There's 35 seats up for grabs this time because due to a special election in Oklahoma, they have 2. So let's start with the Democrats. Oregon, safe. California, safe. New York, safe. Vermont, safe. Connecticut, safe. Maryland, safe. That's it.
So, I'll be devil's advocate. So, what about Washington?
Yeah, what about it?
Give me a reason why it's not safe.
So let me get to it.
Illinois. Those are the 2.
Oh, wait, sorry. Forgot Illinois.
About to say Illinois, really?
Yep, forgot Illinois. Let's now do the safe Republicans. Oh, wait, one more. Hawaii.
Oh, okay.
Let's do the safe Republicans. Let's start with Alaska. Due to ranked choice voting, it's going to either be one Republican or the other. It's probably going to be the witch that deserves to be out of there. Indiana, Utah, Idaho, Utah. I don't care that the senator, the independent candidate, is polling within 4 points. He's not going to come close to winning. North Dakota, South Dakota, Kansas, Oklahoma special election, Iowa, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana, Alabama, South Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana.
I see you're leaving out Colorado. That's another state that usually is pretty safe on the blue side.
I am leaving out Colorado. That's become safe ever since they legalized,
And New Hampshire up there.
Yeah. Left it out.
And even in Arizona, Nevada?
Left them out. So now let's do the lean Democrat. So by lean, I say you're safe if I think you're going to win the state by 8 or more points. Okay? So let's backtrack a little bit. Beep, 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 beep. Okay? Let's go back here. If I'm saying you're safe if you win by 8 or more points, we're going to make Florida safe. Rubio will win by about 8. So they're right on the cusp between leans and safe. Or likely and safe is the better way to say it. Likely Republican and safe Republican. He's right literally on the border.
So I got to question Ohio then.
Ohio's
Trump
the next
won.
one I'm going to put there.
You know, let's say Trump won Ohio by what, 8, 9?
He did. I don't think J.D. Vance is going to win it by more than Trump did. But I don't think he's going to win it by too much less. In fact, we're going to put him as likely. I think he wins by about 7. 6.5 to 7. So that would make it likely Republican. Likely Democrat. Only Colorado. That is it.
Interesting.
That is it. So our map is shaping up. 47 Republicans, 45 Democrats. Now, we got leans, which to me is 3 to 5%. And we got tilts, which is 1 to 2%. So, our leans, which is in 3 to 5. Let's start with the Democrats. We got Washington. Washington is going to be a lot closer than people expect. I even may be overdoing it a little bit. Patty Murray's in a pretty close race up there in the state of Washington. We're going to put New Hampshire in the lean Democrat. That race has considerably tightened over the past couple weeks to where the senator is showing only a 3-point lead right now. Republicans should win this race. They're not going to win this race. Why? Because idiots like Mitch McConnell has pulled funding out of New Hampshire. Because they don't want Trump people. Mitch McConnell would rather have Democrats win than have Trump Republicans win. Kind of sounds like Liz Cheney, doesn't it? Very similar. In fact, it's the same fucking thing. Why? Because they're establishment. If Republicans get to 51, the first thing they need to do is fucking dump Mitch McConnell. They won't, but they need to. So those are the only ones that are in the lean Democrat. Lean Republican. Only one. North Carolina. Lots of polls show the Democrat hanging tough in there. They show Ted Budd only winning by a point. Now, Ted Budd's going to win by 4 to 5. At least 4 to 5. Okay? We're also going to stick Ron Johnson in there. He was trailing throughout most of the summer. Now the chickens have come home to roost. He's going to win by 5.
Wow.
Maybe 4.5. That's why we're keeping it in the leans Republican. But it's more likely. It's more likely a likely Republican. Wisconsin is more likely Republican, I think, than North Carolina is, but they're very, very close to each other. So that only gives us 4 races left. Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. Now, if you give me an up and up, straight up vote, straight up, this is how I would fill in these 4. At least 2 of these 4. Tilt Republican Nevada. Tilt Republican Pennsylvania. Tilt Republican Georgia. And Arizona, to me, is a true toss-up. If you are giving me a straight up and up vote. What do I mean by that? Well, here's an example of not a straight up and up vote. The Secretary of State of the state of Pennsylvania has already said it's going to take days for us to count our votes. Very new phenomenon going on where it takes days to count votes. You know, back until I was about 45 years old, you always knew who won on election night, unless if you were within that recount margin of, 0.5%. It didn't take a week to count votes. It didn't take 4 days to count votes. Yes, the military has the right to send in, as long as it's stamped before the election, the military, ballots could be received, I think it's up to 14 days afterwards because they're overseas. But now, thanks to some China virus, we have this whole new world. So, this is, if you give me a straight up vote, that's what I think would happen. This is what I think is going to happen. I think Fetterman's going to wind up winning Pennsylvania. I don't want to use the S word. S with eel after it and put another letter between the S and the eel. But, when you give 4 to 5 days to count the vote. Yes. Now, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court did come out with a ruling either yesterday or today that said, mail-in ballots have to be dated. Where in the last presidential election 2 years ago, they just accepted it.
That wasn't a Pennsylvania Supreme Court ruling. That was the U.S. Supreme Court telling them that's how that works.
Okay. Say it as you will.
But the Pennsylvania Supreme Court would never have allowed that.
Well, I think the Pennsylvania Supreme Court decided to follow the law of Pennsylvania this time.
I mean, you'd think that would be self-explanatory, but
Because for those of you that do mail-in votes, I do not. On that outside envelope, you must write the date in. Now, what's to say somebody who can't just write the date in?
That's why it should be punched. Like you get at the post office.
That's why it should be if your vote's not received by 8 o'clock on election night, it doesn't count, period. Unless you're an overseas absentee ballot person. That's how it should be. That's what I think is going to happen in Pennsylvania. Another state that worries me, that I will put straight toss-up if I can.
Click toss-up.
Is Nevada. Shenanigans happen in Nevada all the time.
Just move Vegas 60 miles further west so it's in California, and then we wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yes. I mean, I think Nevada has a better chance of going Republican than Pennsylvania does, personally. Arizona is a flat-out tie. Georgia, I think Herschel Walker is like a pubic hair ahead of Warnock. Just like about a point. My concern is with that race, is either of them going to get to 50%? Because if neither gets to 50%, then they have a runoff. That's the way it works in Georgia.
Which is what happened last election.
That's what happened last time. So this is how I see the map, how I think it's going to play out. 50 Republicans, 48 Democrats with 2 toss-ups is what I think is going to happen. Now, if I had to take a guess on what again, You give me a straight up and up. If I had to predict every state, I will put both of these in the Republican column. More Nevada than Arizona. So, we're going to go with that being the Phatts TV final projections, 52-48.
Good football game.
Yeah. Yeah. So, why Oz has a chance in Pennsylvania? Let's see here. So here is the map from 2016 for the Senate in 2016.
It's a lot of red.
It is. It's a lot of red. Even where you live.
Even where I live,
It's
tilted
kind of
its way to the red.
It's pink, but it's a shade of red.
Yeah.
The key is, can Oz keep Fetterman from having a, let's say, 350,000 vote lead in Philadelphia County, and let's say a 400,000 vote lead right here in between Bucks, Montgomery, Delaware, and Philly?
I think Oz should do a better job carrying the Latino vote.
Well, the good part is, for Oz, he's going to do much better in the eastern part of the state than most Republicans do. See, this is why Mastriano, unfortunately, is not going to beat Shorty Shapiro. Mastriano is going to get his ass kicked down here in the corner, unfortunately.
And he's... and for whatever reason, he is throwing rallies in Center County.
Well, because that's where his base is.
Buddy, get your ass down to Philly.
Well, so the key is he's got to, in hopes to win, he's got to turn out his base.
Nobody lives in Center County. No, except for Penn State, and students aren't going to vote for you. I'm sorry.
Okay. Let me ask you a question. You were at a Mastriano rally last night, right?
I was.
And you said there was a couple thousand people there, right?
Yeah.
Do you think they all came from Center County?
I'm going to say the majority of them.
I would say half of them.
I'd say 1,500.
I think you're way over with that number.
I wouldn't have drove out of county to see Doug Mastriano. I'm sorry.
Sure you would.
Eh.
Sure you would. So, where I live, you're going to tell me if he was 20 miles away in a different county, you're not going to go see him? Come on.
Okay.
Come on.
Berks County's a little smaller than Center.
It is. Actually, not much. I mean, you cut out this part of Center County.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
getting
if
back
he was
to...
over in Allentown, I wouldn't be driving to Allentown.
Well, no, because you got to drive Death Highway.
Like, if he was in Altoona and I got a job for it, sure, I'll drive to Altoona.
You know, Trump is in Latrobe in a couple days.
Yeah, it's out near Pittsburgh.
Latrobe isn't that far from Altoona.
Yeah, it's kind of it's like in Johnstown, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. So here's the key to watch what's going on with us. So this is 2016. Toomey got 17% of the vote in Philadelphia County. By the way, in 2020, Trump got 17.9% of the vote. If you see Oz somewhere between 19 and 20, that's going to be a good night for Oz. Montgomery County. Toomey got 44%, rounding up. Trump got only 36%. So if you see Oz in the low 40s, that's a good night. In Delaware County, Trump got 36%. Toomey got 43%. So again, if you see Oz in the low 40s, that's a good night for Oz. Because he's going to need that to offset what's going to go on up here in the T. Now, I'm not saying people are going to be voting for Fetterman in the T. Believe me, I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying people are not going to vote for Oz in the T. Some people. There's a huge difference between not voting for not voting for Oz and voting for Fetterman. The people in the T are not going to vote for Fetterman in overwhelming numbers. But there are going to be some people in the T that don't vote for Oz that also won't be voting for Fetterman. They're just not going to vote for senator. For those of you that are listening to Phatts TV, if you truly can't vote for Oz, you could always write in PA Phatts. That's PA space PHATTS. I have gotten votes for Senate before.
Well,
just saying.
So the Senate race it's neck and neck and neck. Please tell me you get that reference. It's neck and neck and neck.
Well, yes, because you're referring to Mr. Goiter.
Yeah, his neck.
Yes.
So you got to do a House prediction. You got a House prediction?
So the House, obviously, is a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
Obviously. Right now, the current makeup of the House is 222 Democrats, 212 Republicans. 218 is needed for a majority. There is no way, no given chance in hell the Democrats are maintaining their majority. It's just not going to happen. I don't care that people are saying there's a 90% chance Republicans are going to win or there's an 88% chance Republicans are going to win. No. There is a 99.999% chance Republicans are taking control of the House. Okay? Here is the latest predictions from Real Clear Politics. If you don't know the site Real Clear Politics, they take all what are known as good polls, like, polls with an A or B rating. They don't take these crappy polls like Millersville University polls that always oversamples Democrats by 10 to 14 points. They had Hillary winning Pennsylvania by 12 points back in 2016. Last I checked, Trump won Pennsylvania.
Not to backtrack, but what was I going to say now? Oh, the Democrats have to know something. Why would Barack Obama, Michelle Obama, be visiting Pennsylvania? There's no reason for that. They have to know something.
Well, where else are they going to visit? You notice Biden isn't really out on the trail. He just gave a speech in Washington, D.C. tonight. He's not out on the campaign trail. People don't want him there. Barack Obama was out in Arizona. For those of you that don't realize, Barack Obama didn't carry Arizona either time he won the presidency. Slick Willie was up in New York. That's a great place for him.
Well, so you said it was safe for the Democrats in New York.
Chuck Schumer's going to win. Chuck Schumer's going to win by about 10 to 12 points.
So why is there talk that there could be a Republican governor there?
Because Kathy Hochul is god-awful.
So a lot of people are going to split ballots.
Yes, there's going to be a lot of ballot splitting. Just like there's going to be a lot of ballot splitting in Georgia. Kemp is going to win by 8 points in the governor's race. Warnock has a chance to win the senator's race over Herschel Walker. There's got to be ballot splitting to do that.
He's an idiot.
By the way, if you're a reverend like Warnock is and you support abortion, you should go to hell. Pretty simple. But anyway.
That doesn't make you a reverend.
I'm just saying, if you are a reverend and you support abortion, you should go to hell. All I'm saying. So, let's look at the Real Clear Politics average. This is what they think is going to happen. Let me shrink the screen just a little bit. Okay. So right now, they have Republicans like safely at 228. They have Democrats safely at 174. Well, and 33 toss-ups. Well, if the Democrats win every single toss-up, Republicans would still have a 21-seat majority. I am going to tell you right now, Republicans will win the vast majority of these toss-ups. They will win at least 2 out of every 3 of these toss-ups. I know Republicans want to get to 250. Like that's their cool number. Wow, 250. I think they're going to come up just a pubic hair short. I have them at 248 or 249.
That is a lot of House seats.
That's what I think is going to happen. So if they're at 249, the Democrats are at 195.
Well, at least if they take control of that,
196.
nothing will happen in the next 2 years. 0.
Yeah, if Republicans are at 249, Democrats are at 196. Yes. And what's going to happen? You're going to see Nancy quitting. You will not see her in the House anymore. She wants to become ambassador to Italy so she can move over there. Please, Joe, give her the ambassador. Let her be ambassador at whatever fucking place she wants to be. Get her out of this goddamn country.
Russia!
If it were me, she'd be ambassador to Ukraine.
North Korea.
Ooh, even better. Even better. So, look at these, like, changes that they've made in recent days. Safe Dem to likely Dem. Safe Dem to likely Dem. So that's 2 going in the Republicans' favor. Doesn't mean Republicans are going to win. Toss up to leans Dem. 1 shifts back to Democrats. Safe Dem to likely Dem. Likely Dem to leans Dem. Leans Dem to toss up. Safe Dem to likely. Safe to likely. Toss up to lean Republican. Toss up lean Republican. Toss up lean Republican. Toss up leans Dem. Likely Dem to leans Dem. If you're seeing, the vast majority of these are moving right. Like 90% of them are moving right. That's why they don't have an 88% chance to win the House. No, they have a 99.999% chance to win the House of Representatives. It's just going to happen. And let me plug right now, next week, next Tuesday, join us here on Phatts TV. Be with us all night long, starting at 7 o'clock, for election returns. We give you the straight poop. You want to have something on your TV, feel free. Just have the volume down real low. And listen to us. Because I'll know which ones are the bellwethers. Because for some reason, I'm a nerd when it comes to this stuff. I love watching election returns. I've been doing it since 1984, when I was just 12 years old. I don't know why it's always interested me. It always has. 1984, by the way, was when Reagan destroyed Mondale.
But yet you didn't vote till your mid-20s.
Strangely enough, that is true. Yeah. Strangely enough. But I only missed one presidential election. Clinton, 92. So, I say 248 to 249 Republicans winning House seats by that. I say, stick a gun to my head, Republicans will have 52 Senate seats. If you stick a gun to my head. They're definitely at 50. Definitely. The only change that could happen is Republicans will gain seats. Republicans are not going to lose seats in the Senate. At most, it remains status quo. The most that
Well-
Republicans could win, I think, is 4. Some places are saying they could potentially win 5. Ooh, everything would have to break right. You would have to see potentially Patty Murray going down in Washington, or Shaheen going down in New Hampshire. Republicans are going to have a really good night, which I'm not saying is out of the question. I mean, there'll have to be no shenanigans going on in Pennsylvania. It'll have to be a straight up vote.
Well, good luck with that.
Same thing with Nevada. It'll have to be straight up. Arizona. Who's the Secretary of State? Hobbs. Hobbs is running. So for those of you that don't know, the Secretary of State is in charge of running the elections in each state. That's why it's more important to me, for Mastriano to win the governorship than it is for Oz to win the Senate seat. Because we need a Republican Secretary of State. We're not obviously going to get a Republican Secretary of State with Shorty Shapiro in there. That's why it's imperative that Mastriano wins this race. He's probably going to lose by about 6 or 7. But stranger things have happened. Because he's going to wind up losing that southeast corner probably by about 525,000 votes. And he just can't make that up in the rest of the state. It's just not enough population to make that up. Unfortunately. But if Republicans have a fantastic night, yeah, you could potentially see 54 to 55 Republicans. I don't think they're quite going to get there, as much as I'd like to see it.
It'd be nice because it's certainly no policies getting through.
Well, the most important thing is judgeships, too. You're not going to get any progressive judges. If you get judges through, they'll have to be moderate judges. You know, very important we keep a conservative majority on that Supreme Court. We already let one progressive on there. Which, if you're listening to some of the cases that were in front of the Supreme Court, she likes to give, like, dissertations while she's up there on the bench. Supreme Court justices are basically there to ask questions, not provide dissertations. But that's what progressives do. They're trash. Progressives are trash. Progressivism needs to be thrown on the ash heap of history right next to fucking communism. Gotta channel my inner Ronald Reagan. So we got about 5 minutes left. We're going to table something I wanted to talk about tonight. We'll have to wait for a couple weeks to take it. I read a report this week where, even though the military has been denying it, now they're starting to admit that we actually do have boots on the ground in Ukraine. That's scary if that's actually true. Don't know what kind of boots. Are they advisors? Are they just protecting, you know, the embassy? Or is there something else going on? It wouldn't shock me at all if we have special ops over there already.
Oh,
Every time we go to Ukraine, we see hope.
Speaking of Ukraine, then we
Hope
get
to have a home that
Ukrainian
hasn't been
version.
bombed. Hope to reconnect with loved ones.
Where is that
Hope
coming from?
to live.
Right there. Okay.
I would have thought, yeah, we have some sort of special ops, whether they're protecting somebody, something. But I don't think they have orders to kill unless necessary. There's no way, because you can't risk starting a war with Russia.
I agree. So, coming up on Friday's show, we go back to talking sports. Fridays are for sports. Friday, executive producer, non-genetically proven son. What are we going to be talking about? Gonna put you on the
Well, we're going to
spot.
talk about the World Series.
World Series.
I haven't really thought about this a lot, so we're going to talk about Penn State, Ohio State. Recap. We're going to talk about Penn State, Indiana. There won't be much on that, but got to talk about it. I want to debate what our reactions were for the first CFP rankings. I want to get a prediction of our top 4 and probably our top 6. First 2 out.
As in who we think is going to make the playoffs?
Yes.
Okay.
Who do we think is going to make the playoffs at the end of the year?
Okay.
Because we were talking about this a little bit, and I said we'll talk about it Friday because we actually had different opinions.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then we'll wrap it all up with the NFL and the Triple P.
Triple P being, if you're new to the show, the Phatts Fantastic Five, where we tell you where to put your money. Besides my pocket.
And then if there's anything else I run into before Friday.
One of the things I would love to talk to, but I certainly will not have the time to research it, but I would love to discuss it, is this is Breeders' Cup weekend.
Yeah, nobody would have any idea what you're talking about. I'm going to assume the majority of people have no idea what Breeders' Cup even is.
Oh, I bet most people know Breeders' Cup is horse racing. So the Breeders' Cup is Friday and Saturday, 7 races Friday, 7 races Saturday. From Keeneland this year in Kentucky.
You'll be watching it.
I might have a horse. Yeah, so Saturdays I'm going to have split screen on the big screen. We're going to have Penn State, Indiana on one side. We're going to have Tennessee, Georgia on the other side. And on the computer, I'm going to have the Breeders' Cup.
Be a fun day for you.
Gonna.
You're not going to miss much of Penn State, Indiana. Definitely a lot of talk about who's that starting quarterback. Even Franklin didn't know who the starting quarterback is. Which, gosh, there is no way he hasn't made a choice. I think he just wants to stir up a little bit of talk.
The only way, and we could talk about this more on Friday, the only way Sean Clifford is not the starting quarterback is if he's hurt.
Yeah, and even then, he probably still starts. Most important, get 10-2, get Drew as much action as you can along the way.
Yes. Yes. All right, that's going to do it for tonight's show. Join us Friday night at 7 o'clock for our Friday night sports edition of Phatts Fantastic Five. For the non-genetically proven son, Wave. For the fat guy, we will see you Friday at 7. See ya.